funding. I'm the Funding and Development Officer here at SAVS. Also on the call is my colleague Jamie Langston, the Sector Partnership Manager. And welcome to one of our Meet the Funders. So it's an absolute pleasure to introduce Zoe from Essex Community Foundation. The format will be really simple. There'll be a presentation and then there'll be an opportunity for questions and answers. You are, of course, welcome to use the chat if you want to put questions in there, and we can visit that at the end. And I hope you enjoy the event and that you find it informative and work out if ECF is a funder that you're interested in applying to. So good morning, Zoe. I'll hand you over.
Fabulous. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Yeah, as I said, I will go through some slides which I'll share in a minute. So just a little bit, I'm the grants manager here at ECF. I've been here about 5 years now. So hopefully I know what I'm talking about. But we'll go through all the information, and yeah, any questions at the end is fine. So let me just quickly share my screen. Here's where fabulous. So hopefully everyone can see that all okay. Fabulous. I see some thumbs up, so I'll get on with it. So yeah, we're from Essex Community Foundation. A little bit about who we are. So we are a place-based funder supporting groups across Essex, Southend and Thurrock. We were set up in 1996 by the Marks family. So they used to own the Trebor Sweets confectionery company, and when they sold that, they looked to do they wanted to kind of give back in some way, and they set up the Community Foundation at that point. We aim to support quite a wide range of organisations across the whole of Essex. Particularly interested in sort of the smaller grassroots based organisations that are kind of based within their organisations, that are based within the communities that they are themselves supporting, and it's about those social welfare needs tends to be the priority of our funds. We manage about 180 different funds currently, and that is on behalf of individuals, companies, statutory organisations and charitable trusts. So there's quite a wide range that we manage, and each one of them has its own priorities about what that specific fund wants to support. Some of them are restricted geographically, thematically, some of them meet at specific times, some of them are open all year round. So there's a bit of a mixture that we manage in terms of the funds, but the aim is that you apply to ECF and then we find the right funds for your work. So we kind of a little bit of a middleman in that respect. So kind of what do we do as an overall? Our grant making is obviously the biggest part of what we do, getting those grants out to organisations. In our financial year runs July to June. So in our previous financial year, we awarded about £3.3 million of funding across the whole of Essex. It's a bit less than previous few years, but we're probably looking to do about the same amount this year as well. On a couple of other things that we offer out to people, we have what is called the Thrive programme. So this is a programme that we run alongside the Cranfield Trust, who offer support and advice to organisations. It could be legal advice, it could be kind of development advice, and we run a programme. The Thrive programme takes 10 to 12 organisations through a 9-month course of kind of peer review, peer support, team meetings within those people that are completing that course, to help them kind of tackle something that they might be facing. They might be going through some structural change. They might have grown, so they need some help on reviewing their fundraising aims as they kind of develop and kind of grow. The next Thrive programme will probably be launching around November, December time. So we'll be launching fairly soon. We will go out to organisations. If you have a particular interest about you and would like to access that, do let us know, give us a call and talk to us about the Thrive programme. We're definitely happy to talk about if it would work for your organisation, if it's worth applying to be part of the next cohort that complete that. We also have the Foundation Hub, and I appreciate you're down in Southend, but we as an office are based in Chelmsford, and we 2 years ago moved offices, and we are now near the university. I don't know if many know the layout within Chelmsford, but we're based near ARU, and our office has a space that is for our grant partners, is free to book and to hire, to use as a meeting space. We've got one large meeting room, so people have run training sessions there, and it's or AGMs or meetings. It's not about running services from that building, but it's in terms of like work meetings. If you need to put on training for your staff, or if you've got meetings amongst different people that work across different areas. There's also desk space. So actually, if you're coming and to a meeting maybe in Chelmsford and you want to work the day within the area as well, you could hire a desk and hot desk in our space. That's all free to book for our grant partners. So you can access it through our website, or if you want us to ask a bit more about it, you can call us. And the best person to speak to is my colleague Maria in our office here. So what we fund, I mean, I mentioned it briefly, but we aim is to support grassroots sort of social welfare across Essex. We prefer to support core costs and project costs of organisations. We know that core costs are important and are what's needed to keep kind of services going. We're happy to consider core cost applications. We have a couple of funds that will support capital work, but this is very limited, and for the most part, we can't do a capital project. If you have got a capital project and you want to talk about it, call us and we will tell you if we do have a fund that's suitable or not. But typically, it's just core or project costs that we will support. So we use per the local organisations, you know, that are based in their communities that they're supporting. But if you're a large organisation, as long as there is strong demonstration of their links within the local community, we will consider those groups as well. On average, we award between £5,000 to £7,000. We do, as I say, where we manage so many different funds, some of those are flow-through programs. So there is a specific program of money that we might get in and promote separately to our kind of general pot. They can then have much different kind of size availability, but that would always be promoted with that particular fund that was advertised. On average, though, our grants sit between £5,000 to £7,000. If it's your first time applying to us and the first grant from us, it does tend to sit more sort of £4,000 to £5,000, but in general, it's £5,000 to £7,000. We accept applications throughout the year. We run mostly on a rolling programme. So some of those funds, if we've got a really specific fund or it has its kind of a flow through programme, there might be deadlines and meet at specific times. Again, if you're not sure and you've seen one, we're always happy to kind of answer that question. If it is a specific fund, we tend to promote that through our website and social media specifically. So eligibility for applying to ECF, first one, although it seems obvious, but delivering work in Essex, obviously a Southend based organisations, you've hit that, so you're absolutely fine. Be a not-for-profit organisation. With that, we will support CICs limited by guarantee. We will support unincorporated organisations. You don't need to be a registered organisation, but you do need to be a not-for-profit organisation limited by guarantee as well if it's registered with Companies House. There needs to be at least 3 unrelated trustees, directors, decision makers, where no one person is holding significant control. If you were a CIC and you have someone with significant control and that can't change because of a particular reason, again, call us, happy to discuss that with you to see if there is an exception that can be made, but as standard, that needs to not, we need to see no significant control held within the organisation. You need to have a bank account within the organisation's name, and be able to provide kind of that list of documents there. So latest annual accounts, sometimes I appreciate if it's a new organisation, it's then a first year's budget because you won't have accounts just yet. Or if your annual accounts, obviously you don't need to submit them for 9 months if you're a large organisation, but if you come to us within that time period, we might ask for some more management accounts that are a bit more up to date. just because we know a lot changes within the year and your financial picture might not be the same as your annual accounts from 14, 15 months ago. Governing document. If you'd applied to us before and you're coming back to us, we might have a governing document on file. You wouldn't need to provide it again if we have it. But obviously, if you're new to us or there's been any changes, we would ask that you supply the governing document. Equal opportunities policy, safeguarding policy, and a recent bank statement and paid-in slip. That bottom one is for banks' payment verification details. Obviously, safeguarding policies for if you're working with children or adults at risk. We know they can vary depending on what you are delivering and what you are offering out to the community. So we do review them based on what you as an organisation are delivering. And if we had any further questions about any of the policies, we would always come back to you within the process of assessment. So the journey of an application through ECF, we would always encourage speaking to a member of our team. We found that it's best for us to have a chat, especially if you're new to us or if you're not sure about applying, or maybe if you've got an active grant and you're not sure about reapplying. We're always going to recommend that you speak to us first. We know that application forms take time, and you're very busy delivering the services, and that should be your focus. So if a 5-minute phone conversation will help us work out if it's worth putting in an application or not, it can save time both on your end and on ours and manage that better. So we're always happy to speak to you first, or drop us an email if that's a preferred communication style. That's absolutely fine. I mean, we have through our website, you can actually book a call with a grants officer. So that means it's a time that is suitable for you, and you know that there's a half-hour slot where you will be given the time to speak to a grants officer at ECF. Obviously, following that, submit an online application form with the supporting documents. Our form is accessible through our website. It's a standard form we have that accesses our funds. If you were unable to complete an online form or need additional support, we are happy to arrange a telephone application or send a Word format of the form. If that's needed, we can do that. You just need to let us know. So once your application comes into us, it goes out to one of our grants officers who assesses the application. So they'll look at what you've asked for, obviously your supporting documents, a financial review. If at this point we needed some further information or we wanted to ask some additional questions, that's where we then reach out to you to ask that. If you were new to us or we hadn't supported you in many, many years, we might ask for a reference, which we would take up. So that would be like another organisation or professional body or an individual that can speak on behalf of your organisation's work in the area. That obviously isn't a staff member or a volunteer or a trustee, something like that. That assessment and your application is then peer reviewed. We're very conscious of, one person, everyone has a bias naturally. You just can't sometimes do it. So if you're assessing an application that has a particular impact on you personally, sometimes even without knowing it, you might look at it slightly differently. So we always have the peer review that has a discussion amongst our whole grants team to discuss what has been applied for and what the assessment brought out, and kind of review that assessment and application. At any point kind of up till now is where we're then trying to work out what funds we might take it to, what funds your application, your particular project or your organisation fit that we've got available at that time. So on our form, you might have seen a particular fund advertised that you've indicated on your form. It doesn't necessarily mean that we would take it to that fund holder. It might mean that they're fully spent, they don't have the money, or actually there is something additional in their eligibility that might not have come across. So we look at the different funds that we've got. Obviously, if you applied to a very specific program that we've kind of run separately to our rolling program, that is obviously slightly different, but in general, we look to highlight the different funds. And it may be that there's one fund, it may be 5 funds that we recognise that we might present an application to. It can go to many different places, and that's why I say where we're a bit of a middleman, we manage and have these funds and we kind of take it where it's most appropriate. Obviously, it goes out to them for consideration. We get their decisions, all going well, and they've approved it where suitable. Different amounts may come from different fund holders. We would then send an offer email detailing how much you've been awarded and the funds it has come from. Following that, we'd make a payment. And then at the end of the grant, we ask for we do ask for kind of an end of grant report to get some feedback. Standard grant for us is over a 12-month period. So we would ask for feedback 13 months after payment. So we give a month after the 12-month period that grant was awarded for. Some grants run for different times, and that's fine. We're always happy to discuss that. We know that sometimes as well, grants don't always kind of set up how you thought they were going to go. There might have been issues that come into play or delays. You know, wherever possible, we will award an extension or a change of use that's suitable to ensure that you can still keep doing that work in the best way for your charity or your organisation. As I say, a standard, they're 12-month grants. We do some very few amount of multi-year grants. We're just about to launch our strategy, our next sort of 5 to 6 year strategy coming up. We'll be launching it over the next couple of months. Part of that, which, and I appreciate this is a long journey because it's a sort of 5 to 6 year strategy, is for us to start doing more multi-year grants. We know that they're very important and that actually they help provide sustainability for organisations, and we do want to do more of that as a fund holder. We just need to work out how we're doing that, and kind of that will be a slowly built up thing over the next few years. So whilst we don't actively offer multi-year at the moment, on occasion we can do it from some of our funds, but it is something that we'll be looking to build on over the next few years and offer more of that out to organisations. Also, sometimes we ask for that final report, but we're always happy to receive any photos or feedback throughout the period of the grant. If sometimes as well, we've done emergency funding, so a grant group has come to us and we've been able to provide sort of shorter term sums of money to help them through a period. If you were ever in a position where actually you needed some emergency funding, we've done it on a couple of occasions before where we've had the funds that fit the organisation. It's not always possible, but we're always happy to have a conversation with you about some short-term support if possible. With new organisations that we've never funded before or young organisations that may have just set up, we might as well do sort of a 3-month check-in call throughout the process just to touch base, see how things are going, and if you need any further information or support from us as a funder, and just kind of make sure everything's going okay. Just to touch base a little bit more on the assessment criteria, so we assess the applications that come into us. So some of that kind of aligns with what documents we ask you to provide. So we look at your governance structure, financial management, or financial review of the organisation, policy suitability. So again, different size organisations delivering different work will need different things within their safeguarding policy or equal opportunities policies and things like that. So we review the suitability of the policy for the work that you are delivering, and capacity of the organisation. And then some of the things that are kind of not as related to policies, it's about, in terms of the actual project or the core cost of the work that you're delivering, it's sort of community involvement, evidence of need. How do you know that work is needed? Especially, that's a really important one for us. If it is an organisation moving into an area, how do you know you're going there? We see it before, or we know it's an area of deprivation. Okay, fabulous. You know an area of deprivation due to maybe an IMD rating, but what or IDM rating, sorry, but how do you actually know? Where have you spoken to local people, to groups, to organisations within the area? On that is duplication of services, ensuring that there's not, that service isn't already being supported, and if there is a similar service, why is there another one similarly coming in? Is it because demand is too high and actually more of that service is needed? And just trying to ensure that if an organisation is already doing that work, the preference would be to support them to continue doing that work than a new organisation coming in and delivering exactly the same work if the need is not there. And most kind of linked to community involvement and evidence need, but the community benefit. So what is the aim of the work? How is it benefiting those people that will be receiving kind of support through the different services? So as I say, we manage about 180 different funds, all with different pots of money, different criteria, different sizes, and some of those pots of money might only award £1,000 within 1 year, financial year. Some award much more. A couple of specific funds or funds that are available for groups within the Southend area at the moment. The first one is the High Sheriff's Fund. You may have seen this one advertised. The High Sheriff this year is actually from Southend themselves as well, so I know they're obviously but they're always happy to support groups from Southend. The deadline to apply to that fund is the 2nd of December. This is a specific pot. The deadline to apply is the 2nd of September. It is still a standard application form that you can use to access this fund, with decisions being made at the very end of January, start of February time, the panel meeting, can't remember the exact date. The High Sheriff's Fund, we also, when applications come into the High Sheriff's Fund, we use it at a time to match applications from there, along with all our other community safety funds, because the High Sheriff's Fund has a particular focus on supporting projects with a community safety link. So that is supporting, in terms of a couple of examples, supporting, diversionary activities for young people that may be at risk of involvement with crime, supporting victims of crime, helping people kind of get off streets and into homes and away from, again, potentially falling into crimes or drug use, support with people going through the legal system or ex-prisoners. So anything that is linked to community safety, they will consider, and that again is projects and core costs, not capital work. So we have that community safety fund. We also have a number of funds that are called POCA. So they've been set up under the Proceeds of Crime Act match funding scheme that we've got. So we have about 10 other funds that have a specific focus on community safety that we use at that time to also fund applications that come into the High Sheriffs, because there's always more applications than what is in that fund particularly. So there is quite a wide, we've got a few funds that we take those applications to, but again, the limit is still sort of £5,000 to £7,000 is still the average of that application. But there's that one's there. The next one that is more geographically restricted as well is Firebird Fund. So this is a fund that we manage, one of our endowed funds. They have a preference for supporting individuals directly through referral organisations. So they will offer grants for individuals that have faced mental health issues that are receiving support through a referral organisation, and it may be to complete training, or for qualifications, or even maybe for a respite break. And I think in the past, actually, they paid for a bike for an individual, for someone to be able to get to work after, because they couldn't drive, to get back into to work, and that was to kind of help them on that journey. Applications will need to come through a referral organisation, so it's not, an individual can't just approach us for that one. But if you do work with adults with mental health issues, please do contact us. We're happy to talk about that application in particular. It has its own form, and our colleague called Lisa in our team here oversees our grants to individuals, and can have a better conversation with you about that one in particular. The fund will support organisations that are delivering projects or work for adults with mental health issues, with a particular focus on getting back into our work. So as an organisation, if you deliver projects or support for that, we may be able to consider your organisation specifically as well, but their preference does tend to be for the grants to individuals. A couple of funds that we have are the Southend Community Fund, which people may have heard of, and the Southend Education Fund. So obviously they are very restricted for the Southend area. What I would say is, in our current financial year, both of these grants are currently spent, and there won't be more monies available in them until July of 25, when we are in our next financial year. But just wanted to make you aware that we do have those two funds for the Southend area. So whilst it might not be for right now, there's potential that those funds could consider you next year. The Southend Community Fund, it's those local organisations have a strong preference for that. That is a panel of local people that make the decisions for that fund. They like to get out and visit groups as well, and the panel that make those decisions. And then Southend Education Fund is a smaller fund, but again, there needs to be a link to education support and development for children, and that's a smaller fund. It's usually only does one grant of around £2,000–3,000 a year. Southend Community Fund tends to support a few organisations across a year. So that is kind of everything I was going to talk through. There's some links there. What I'll do is I'll share these slides with Maria as well afterwards, so then all the links are there to contact us afterwards. I say I'm happy now to take any questions about our general let me stop sharing. About OCF in general, our process for applications. If you want to talk specifically about a project for your organisation, it's probably best to kind of give us a call, post this, or book a call with us, and we can talk about specific projects or applications. But happy to open the floor now.
Hello, good morning.
Hi there.
Hello, yeah, apologies for the delay. I've been trying all sorts to get in, to get the link to connect, but I finally got there. Hey, how you doing?
Well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah, I'm curious about what you just mentioned there. I run a local community martial arts school in just off Central Southend, teaching from ages 3 right through to adults. These, of course, include children with extra needs and adults who are vulnerable. So,
Yep.
what would be your recommendations for funding for this situation, please?
So in terms of applying to ECF directly, obviously we'd need to see how you're set up as an organisation, and what it is you'd need funding for in particular. I think in the first instance, I'd recommend you call and speak to one of our grants officers, or book a call with us, and we can talk through what is your funding needs at this time, what it is you're looking for funding for, who you're benefiting, and we can discuss whether we've got a suitable fund that you could apply to, and whether it's worth putting an application in. But I think we'd probably need a bit more information to advise from us specifically, and so I'd always kind of at the first instance recommend to call and speak kind of in more detail about your work with one of our grants officers.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hiya.
Hi there. If you have more than one funder there that seems appropriate for us, I'll be able to make more than one application, or is it just one at a time?
Yeah, so we say one application at a time. We've got more than one funder potentially, but some of them are only going to be doing maybe £2,000. So our idea is that obviously we can say our average grant is £5,000 to £7,000, because we will take your one application to multiple fund holders where appropriate. So we'd say it's one application at a time to us, and it tends to be one grant at a time as well over the grant period. So if you have an active application to us, as I say, sometimes there is circumstances if we're running a specific fund. So if you had a fund with us that's kind of a general application, and then you saw the high shares for a specific community safety project, we may be able to consider an additional application at that time. But as standard, it's one application at a time for an organisation. What I would say is we are happy to do sort of continuation funding. So I say our grants run over a 12-month period. So to kind of reduce, and a standard from submitting an application, it can take around 2 months is our aim to get a final decision to you. Can take a bit longer. Sometimes we're able to be quicker, but standard is sort of 2 months wait for a decision. If you had a grant with us and it was kind of 9-10 months in, we're happy to start the conversation about a next application at that point, to kind of, so it's not waiting for monitoring, reapply, and there's that break. We are happy to do kind of that overlap with maybe just a condition that we receive the first lot of monitoring before we'd pay the next grant if another grant is awarded. But at any one point, it would be one application really.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
That's right. Is there any other kind of questions about ECF or our funding in general at this time? As I say, if not, I will share the information, or you can go on our website and you are happy to book a call. Hiya.
Hiya, sorry, we've only just managed to get the camera on.
Yeah, we're kind of muddling through with our tech, but it's good to be here. Thank you for allowing us to attend. We are a newly formed charity in this together, and we're dedicated to supporting the wellbeing as a holistic, with a holistic approach, so mind, body, and spirit and soul, and so supporting children with cancer and families. I mean, we would like to extend it to children with life-limiting illnesses and their families, but we're just worried that we don't want to bite
Take
off
on
more
too
than
much.
we can chew. at the
We want to walk
moment.
before we can run. So.
Yeah. So I don't know if you wanted. We just really wanted to introduce ourselves.
Yeah, we just wanted to say hi and say thank you for the information. It's been really helpful.
It's been really good. Yeah.
No, yeah, that's great. Lovely to meet you. I say, if as an organisation, we will fund newly formed organisations as well. So if you want to have a chat about more, maybe a specific application to us, just give us a call.
Amazing, thank you.
Yeah, we were thinking booking an appointment with the grant.
Yeah,
it's all new to us, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
Hi, Maria. And we'd like to come in and see Maria as well. I'll give you a little call, Maria.
You'll be very welcome as always.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Zoe.
Hiya, Gemma.
Hi. Is there a certain time of year that's better to apply? Is there a time when the grants all open, that the pots are more likely to have money in them?
So our financial year is July to June. So we do get, I suppose, the pots are mostly replenished from in sort of July, August time, and sometimes towards the end of the year, some of them have already spent. So sometimes throughout the summer might be a good time to at least start the conversation with us. But some funds, although they're part of our rolling programme, meet at a specific time. So again, in terms of community safety, we'd always say hold till high sheriffs, because we might have a community safety another fund, but we tend to do them all at the same time alongside high sheriffs. But in general, currently, I would say sort of July, August time, if you've not applied to us or don't have an active grant, is a good time to reach out to us.
Okay, great. And is there an amount of time you would say leave it after a unsuccessful application?
Not necessarily. If you've been unsuccessful because we didn't have a fund that suited the work, there's not likely to be another one very soon. But if it was because there was a particular reason and you've worked on that, or changed something that had meant that we couldn't fund you at that time, there isn't a time limit necessarily. But I think I'll say if it's because we didn't have a fund, it's probably a leave it, I'd say at least 6 months, because we're unlikely to have got a new fund within that time. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Today's been really useful.
Thank you. Good. Glad to hear it.
And Gemma, in response to that as well, if it is a situation that ECF doesn't have funding, SAVS does offer a tailored funding search for organisations. So you can complete a short form, and we then look at subscriptions to funders and might be able to point you in the direction of some others that might be viable.
That's great. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Out of interest, I know it's difficult, but have any of you applied to ECF previously? No?
Yes.
Okay, so a mixture of yeses and nos. And they are a terrific funder. And definitely, if you're considering making that application, then don't be worried about it, because there is help available both from their grants officers, and we're also happy to have a glance over it and see if there's anything where we think, you might have misunderstood a question. So there is that support available if you need that as well.
Bern, did you have a question?
Hi. Yeah, thank you very much for today. It's been great. Yeah, I did apply to Essex Community Foundation before, and one of the some feedback that I got, which would be probably good to share with everybody, is just making sure it's very targeted, like not too vague an application, and having a specific aims rather than not too much. Do you know what I mean? That was some feedback I got anyway. And also, please, could you put the contact details up again before you go?
Yeah, what I'll do, let me see if I can.
Thank you.
I'll pop them in the chat, the ones that I have got, but I will also share the slides with Maria so you could see that information there.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
this will come through in the chat all okay. Is there any other last minute questions?
Thank you so much indeed for taking your time. A really clear presentation. Like I say, it doesn't matter what your structure, be it constituted group, be it charity, be it CIC, and providing you're not for profit, then they're definitely a good funder to speak to and engage with, and they are so personable and helpful. Thank you all for your time this morning. We will share the recording following the event, and you've got contact details there if you've got questions that you think of later or that you want any more information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you all for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right.